Welcome back, everyone. We are 100 Years Enterprise. As we stay on this, as we on the theme of how it all began, uh, as you said something, to follow your dreams is yeah, we have to follow our dreams. But with that, when we in our adolescence, and that's preteens, and as teens, we doing things, youth need that encouragement. They need that pat on their back. The accolades. You doing good, son. You doing good, daughter. Stay doing that. Stay doing it. Even though they may know they doing good, but they also need that extra reinsurance, that encouragement. Stay in school. Stay doing what you're doing. And this is why. Because we see on the kids today, parents is all over the place. They think they can just buy certain things, but not really just sit down and have those real dialogues with the kids. Because you said if we would have had those different things, our lives may have turned out different. Even though we were raised by grandparents, mothers, fathers, who we were raised by. And growing up in Richmond, California, it was so much going on. I grew up in Brookside Hospital in 1970. And before I start staying with my grandparents, when my mother moved out, she's a single parent. So you have a young 18, 19-year-old mom trying to raise a boy. So at this time, the economy is different. She's struggling, trying to maintain a job. My dad, he was nowhere in my life because, he was in and out of prison. I remember growing up, going to see him in prison, county jails, to my on my father's side, taking us on family visits. So staying on family visits in trailers with my cousins. We had 2 trailers. So as a kid who, loving their parents, we see certain things, right? Yes. But then our parents. And we don't have the understanding or the maturity to either compartmentalize or differentiate the good, bad, and the ugly within our parents. Because in our eyes, our parents can't do anything wrong. And just like when a parent, they see in their kids' eyes, they can't do anything wrong. That's my kid. Yes. Right? So they just, human behavior. And so growing up, knowing that my dad was who he was, wherever he was, that I never once, either trying to disregard him, whatever he had going on, and I haven't seen my dad since 1978, 1979. He's been missing. But I also always hear stories about him. They read newspaper articles and all type of things. And through our curiosities, it helped to lead me to the street life.
So let me ask you a question. I got to ask this question.
Yes, sir.
Okay. By you not, you said last time you seen your father was when?
Either 1978, 1979. I was at my grandmother's house. We received a phone call, and he said, he loved me. Some things had happened. And he don't know when he ever see me again.
Okay, so what impact that had in your childhood? Because it had to have some kind of impact.
It had a great impact in a negative way. Because I was a kid who was lost. It allowed me to be in search of my true identity. And the impact was playing football, going to school, having different events. When I look up in the audience or in the stands, my dad isn't there. That was always crushing to me. I was always hurtful. When I could see other parents bringing their kids or being supportive of their kids, and I never had that support.
Yeah.
That I always affected. always affected me? I'm glad you asked. I never had that support in my life. And so the support that I thought I needed was the streets. Because growing up, that's who wrapped their arms around me. Through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Through the selling drugs, to the selling weed, to the smoking weed, to the stealing, to the hustling, to seeing the older guys doing what they're doing and say, okay, I want to do that also. I didn't have the uncles and cousins in my life. They were around, but in my life to say, hey, don't do this or don't do that. It was more so enabling to do this and do that. And so that was the impact that was in my life in a negative way. You know, and it didn't just sit there as a kid in my preteens. It still goes and I still think about it. You know what I mean? I never said, you know, one bad thing about him. I wish he was there, but for whatever reasons, I had to grow and understand in my maturity that whatever reason, circumstances happen, I'm just glad he's still alive to this day. You know, because that's my daddy. Whatever he did is what he did. Yeah. You know, and we still see those same impacts today through single parents, through the father not being there. I was just at a Richmond Steelers practice a couple weeks ago. It was full of mothers there, but I'm looking around like, where's the dads? For whatever reasons, you know. Some dads can't even come to the practice based on their so-called affiliations in the streets. Yeah. They can't even go to their kids' football practice. And back then, it wasn't those type of issues. It was just not being there. And so dealing with innocence, curiosities, those was one of the triggers that led me, you know, to life of crime. You know, I can think back one time I went to McDonald's. Me and my mother went to McDonald's. We were standing on Fall right by Kennedy. And she said, I think I told you before. And she said, what you want? I said, I want a cheeseburger, a small fries, and an orange soda. She going through her purse. She's still looking. She looked at me. We in a drive-thru. She didn't have the money. She said, I don't have enough money to get you a cheeseburger and orange soda. I looked at her. She said, I got to get you a regular fries and a hamburger with no cheese on it. That's all the money I got. And I need gas money for work. I was like, okay. But in my mind, I was like, wow, we poor. And I told myself at that age, so you used to have a kid 8, 9 years old telling himself that I ain't gonna be broke again. Yeah. You know, or so as you growing up, I was probably still broke, but as time went on, we were always, you know, as kids, we try to find a way to get a couple dollars.
Any opportunity coming.
Any opportunity
came. It's feasible for you to do.
Yeah. Exactly. And so that was the, so that was part of, all those stories were part of the beginning of the taking away of my innocence to be, you know, to get led to go by my choice to the street life.
Definitely.
You know? I want to add something to that too, man, just a little bit, because my life reflects both of y'all so much. And I think that's why we get along so good as far as our childhood. Dante, I honestly got to say my life is opposite of yours. Yeah. In terms of the far as being raised, right? I had a loving mother, loved me to death, but she's an alcoholic. My father he died of alcohol. And so I had the support there, but I had the wrong support.
Right.
I'm seeing the activities of, you know, my mother being drunk, and then what led me to the streets, like you were saying, at 13 years old, everything I wanted to get a part of or I wanted to do, they couldn't afford to pay for it to be done. So it wasn't I didn't have the ability. I was very good in football and everything, but it was the jerseys and everything you pay for. I ain't got the money for that.
Right.
Your coach gonna pay for the jersey, that type of thing. Yeah. So I got to a point to where, you know, I need to find a way to make some money so I can pay for these activities I want to be in. You know what I mean? And that's what led me to go, okay, I want to, I'm looking at the streets, and then I got people whispering in my ear, man, Gary, whoop, they, man, you can get on their thing and, make you a couple of hundred, you know what I mean, to buy you some school clothes, to do that, do this, right? And, when I start liking girls, I start looking at what girls like. And girls like everybody that look like, they're buying. Even at that time, if you was just middle class, you could just buy some the Nikes, different color Nikes every day at school.
Yeah, the Nike Cortez.
So when you knew that, the 501s and the Nike windbreaker. And I couldn't afford that. So, I'm like, man, I got to do something. I'm panicking going to school, starting the school year off because I need to come with a Nike windbreaker, lacrosse sport tee, some 501s, and some Nike, the blue ones with the white stripe. And my mama couldn't afford that. So it's beautiful. The beauty in it is that we can sit here and talk about it's peripheral of different ways that trouble youth is formulated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, for me, when you talk about your dad, I had a dad, but he never was there because he was, what I mean by I never seen him sober. And then he ended up dying of alcoholism. They always had heroin around, but I remember in the 70s, alcohol was the big thing.
Right? Yeah.
Alcoholics, and so everybody drinked. You know what I mean? And so my father drinks so much. Every time I see him, I'm talking about what I mean by was he floored. Every time I ain't never seen my dad sober.
Right.
And he ended up dying from that. So my story relates to you, and it's just like, wow, I learned something every day when I hear about that. But that was my humble beginning. That's what led me to say, you know what? Out of necessity. Yours just the opposite. It was just like, I feel like I'm missing something.
Yes.
Even though they give me everything, but I feel like I'm missing something. Because I had a cousin like that. And he was like, like almost. He had an air about him. He would get the 5200 Atari and all that. He had the big TV bolted into the wall and a water bed. And I used to be envious of that. But my auntie knew it. She used to have me come over just to fight him and everything because he was just like, he had dirt bikes, mopeds, go-karts, a car waiting for him when he turned 18, brand new in the garage. And he don't want to know how he grab his go-karts and nothing. He got 2 or 3 of them. My auntie like, man, let man, I don't feel like doing that today. He didn't value it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I got for you. He just took it for granted. You know what I mean? And so
it's just mine.
Yeah, it's mine. I ain't tripping. I've been rubbed it. I'm tired of it. I'm on to the next. But I'm like, I ain't never had that. Let me ride it. No. Let me have it. No. So it was like, but my point is that led me out of necessity because I was saying, I was always good in school. And so by me figuring I had to figure out a way how to buy me some tennis shoes and stuff like that, my mom used to cry. You know what I mean? I seen her take me to layways and put all the clothes back. Because whatever happened, because they give you up to 3 months to pay it off. But whatever that deadline was, she wasn't ready. And like, man, I actually seen her put all my clothes back. So I'm like, man, what am I wearing to school? So I said to myself, okay, I need to hit these streets, man, and figure this out. And so out of all my children, I was one with the most promise because I was like doing everybody's homework. I was academically inclined, but I walked away from all that.
Right.
And see, that's what parents don't understand. They look at us as criminals, but it's like out of necessity, I had to go make it.
Yeah. What's really going on?
I can't live in this poverty. This poverty is too much for a young child to embrace. You know what I mean? That's why I have so much respect and profound empathy for those in third world countries that I see just barely making it. You know what I mean?
Still can smile.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just mind-boggling how, we get to a place where they can say, you're a criminal.
You don't even know what I'm going through.
You don't care. The system is set up that way. And then they throw you away and they tell you, you've been doing crime all your life. We're going to throw you away. You ain't never getting out. That been said to us.
Oh, most definitely.
You know what I mean?
Heard that many
so,
times.
The heart and pain of that, man, so from our innocence, that's what we went through. That's what made us become or led us to troubled youth. We started off troubled through those and then now, at risk. You know what I mean? So, man, that was powerful, man. It touched me, man. That story you told me, Fahim, man, tears come to my eyes because I could feel that vivid pain.
Yeah.
Mine wasn't exactly like that, but it was similar because I used to see my father be like, man, I'm ashamed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I come from him. I'm never gonna be that. You know what I mean? And so he used to sit with me and cry about. I just look at it, but I looked at him with resentment. Like, how could you? You know what I mean? And my mama doing bad. I mean, you know, as a man, what's happening? Where your integrity at?
Yeah.
So you know, it's powerful.
Yeah,
Man.
it's
It is.
our parents, you know, they mean everything to us.
Yes.
Everything to us. I mean, especially, you know, growing up. And for some reason, I wound up with my grandparents, like I said, you know, earlier. And I knew my mother, knew my daddy. You know, eventually they split. So when they split, that's how I wound up with my grandparents. And plus, you know, when I did stay with my mother and them growing up, my grandfather used to get sick, like bring that boy over here. You know, my grandma would call, you know, Val sick. You know, you need to see that boy.
Mm-hmm.
But they, like I said, they wound up raising me. Me and my mother, we really never had a relationship. Me and my daddy, we never had a relationship. You know, he used to lie to me, you know, all the time. He just, when I needed something, you know, something real simple, going to Great America, take me to Great America. Okay, I'm gonna take you to Great America. Give me a date and everything. I'm running around, telling Barn Uncle, well, I'm going to Great America, boy, I'm going to Great America. So I'm sitting up there, and this character, he don't even show up. Don't call or nothing. But that affected me though. Even though I wasn't staying, they didn't. That affected me though.
Because you wanted to be with your pops.
You don't want to need that, you know, in your life. You don't want to have your father in your life. As you know, as some type of fashion.
Yeah.
You know, let's go spend some father and son time. You know, but that didn't happen. But you know, I subconsciously, I said I wasn't holding no resentment, but I did for him and my mother for a very, very long time, because I feel as I got a little older that they should have played a part, you know, in my life. And a lot of kids is experiencing that today. You know, it's still going through that because the kids are being dumped on the grandparents, and it's your responsibility, you know. But guess what? I was fine with my grandparents because they took care of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they took care of me and took care of my mama too. Which I understand now, but, and I'm saying all this to say this, eventually down the line, as doing time, as going to prison, I realized that I couldn't hold them responsible for what they didn't know or what they didn't do.
Right.
Because things happen for a reason. I might never know why things happen, you know, but I grew closer to both of them. You know, me and my mother got a good relationship now. My father, you know, he passed away, was it last year? I think it's been about a year, for, what is it? COPD, a chronic lung disease. But before he passed away, guess what? I established a relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
I took care of him in his time of need when his life was just deteriorating. You know, made sure that he was well taken care of. You know, so we got real close. And and I think, you know, God for removing the hatred and the resentment that I had, you know, towards him as well as my mother. But I'm saying all this to say this, you know, kids are still being affected by some of the things that we was affected by, you know, growing up.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's not just the kids, but also the message also has to go to the parents, because they play a major part, you know, in that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and how the kid grow up and how the kid respond to certain things.
Right.
You know, so if I'm in the house and I'm talking about my daddy, you know, I'm the mother, okay, talking about my dad, good motherfucking MS.
Right.
You know, so now the kid, you know, that's how he gonna feel. Instead of trying to bridge, you know, a gap to bridge that relationship. And a lot of, you know, parents does that today. And that's why, you know, I think that's some of the part of the problem why kids are acting out how they are acting out now, because you ain't got no respect for nobody now.
Most definitely.
For no one, not even their mama. So now, being that my mama been talking about my daddy for so long, when I see him, I probably want to bust him upside the head. But that's how it is, so we have to, man, try to break that cycle, man, because it's sad. It's really sad.
It's a vicious cycle, and to go back to the point of we must applaud the grandparents.
Oh, most definitely.
We must applaud the grandparents because we see that when the parents go a certain way, the grandparents always step in. And the grandparents become more closer to the grandchild than their own child. For some reason, I never figured it out, but that's for some reason.
Yeah.
Like, when I started staring at my grandparents, even though my grandfather, he hung out the pool hall, he was drinking whatever he was doing. My grandmother worked 2 jobs, but just being able to come from my mother's house on the south side of Richmond to my grandmother's house on the lower south side of Richmond, where all my friends are.
Mm-hmm.
It was a total change in the love that I felt. Because I felt the love for my friends more than my mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sad to say, but true, because it was always a cussing, this and that, and, probably being a single parent, I never know. We never had the good relationship. We never had the good talks, the long talks. This is what's going on in my life. This is why I had, as a kid and to this present day, figure out what's going on, because we still never had those talks when you try to, even incarcerated, we write them letters, we try to, talk what was really going on. If the conversation become evasive or you start arguing, then you don't want to go through those situations because I'm already dealing with things in my life, trying to get my life back. So we try to, keep things calm. But as you were saying, the kids, they feel it and they see it. They won't say nothing, but it will come out in their actions.
Mm-hmm.
Younger and younger, they're using drugs.
Yeah.
Younger and younger, they're selling drugs. Younger and younger than we are staying away from house, staying away from home, cutting school, not going to school, talking bad to the parents. And a lot of the talking bad, disrespecting the parents because they see what the parents are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Your daddy might be doing whatever he's doing. He's not being there, and the kid lies, so the kid turn to who he feel his love is to his friends or her friends in the neighborhood. Or the parent could be constantly going back and forth to work or whatever he or she has going on, but not paying attention to what's in the kid backpack.
Yeah.
Is it homework in there? You got homework? Let me see the homework you're doing. How was school today? How was what's your teacher name? We used to have a PTA conferences. What's going on?
Yeah.
And those are the things.
Or just coming to the school sometime and hanging out like they used to do in the 70s.
Yeah.
Come look at come talk to the teacher, build a relationship with the teacher.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
we basically the same age as us parents. You
couldn't have said it no better. You could have said it no
You
better.
don't even get that no more.
Yeah, we don't even get that.
Yeah.
And so I remember if it was 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a school day,
Mm-hmm.
and if a parent or someone in the neighborhood saw me, or the police or school patrol, they gonna pick you up.
Yeah.
Or tell you, you're supposed to be at school at a specific time. Now, from being home at my age and seeing the same thing, they don't even have truant officers anymore.
Yeah.
You see kids going up and down the street when it should be school, right? And then we have what's going on now with the COVID situation. What did it do? It separated and caused a bigger rift from kids' school and education because they started eating everything in the house, become big, they became lazy, was their parents because now there's no more work, or they was working from home and so much, and they was in the video games, phones, and you didn't have to do any schoolwork until later on, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't no checks and balances there. And back then we had some of that, but now you came home in a COVID-19, right?
Yeah.
and you had to deal with those same situations, but just probation, just getting your stuff online. So just imagine what the kids is going through. And that's why our message now is going to always be needed and necessary to show how, no matter what the situation, I don't care if it's COVID, I don't care whatever it is, how one can still come out and acclimate themselves back into society, back into the school systems, whatever it may be, and get back to their true essence and their true identity of who they are.
Most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. And and with that, I want to say this because all our innocence was stole, was robbed. That we all had different things going on in our life, and a lot of things played a part.
Yes.
Of that, which led us to a life of crime, which led us to prison. At a young age. Teenagers when we went to prison. So all these things, different things plays a factor. So now, I mean, it's sad. That we had to experience that.
Yes.
So the message that we put out, we want it to be effective.
Absolutely.
So let me ask a question. Let me pose a question to us. Let's just be real with this one right here. This because we talked about all right, times of innocence that led us to be troubled youth. Now we at a point where we just say hypothetically we got past the trouble youth phase of it, right?
Yes.
And we full-fledged, at risk now. We touching juvenile halls.
Yes.
We chase. The police chasing us. They chasing. They ain't just chasing several people. They chasing Lejon.
Yeah.
They know who they chasing. They
Yeah.
chasing Dante. They chasing
Yeah.
Patrick for a crime or soliciting drugs or whatever, stolen car, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now we at risk because we being identified as criminals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're looking to lock us up now
As teens.
as teens, right? So we go from the phase of innocence to trouble you because we was innocent when we didn't really trip. Then we start being trouble you. We start contemplating about how we can do things, outside of home in the streets, how we can merge with the streets and capitalize from doing that. You know what I mean? Now to the point to where we're in a state to where it's an emergency. The parents know it. You know what I mean? They know we selling dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't come in my house with that.
Yeah.
Now we done switched from being innocent to, Patrick used to be a good kid, and Patrick selling dope. Patrick carrying a gun. Patrick out in the street terrorizing. I switched from Patrick being siren. I don't even different because Patrick and Lejon and Dante was innocent.
Right.
We can't carry that name in the game, supposedly, right? So now I can't just have no name Siren. That was named as an honorable badge in the game. Right? So now I no longer want to be called Patrick, even with the girls. Don't call me Patrick. I'm Siren, and the reason why I'm Siren because Siren is into the street life. Siren is acceptable with my gang, which is North Oakland Bush Ride Park. I run with them.
Hold on. Stop. You left something out.
Okay, get what I left.
North Oakland, Bushwell Park, but y'all had a moniker.
Okay,
What was the moniker?
you talking about the punchline?
Yes.
Okay.
You got to give it to him. Don't leave that part out. You got to give it to him.
It was whore or die.
Oh, okay.
Whore or die.
What that meant?
Whore or die.
Because it affected you.
It was a lifestyle.
Okay.
It's not graphic saying whore or die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know that means hoe or die. It means whatever we do it to the fullest.
Yeah.
Hoe or die.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We hoeing out here. We getting money. We selling dope. We carrying guns. If we got in trouble with us, we gonna bring it. It's hoe or die. It's one way or another. It's either our way or not. If you messing with us. So I took on that concept. You know what I mean? I embraced it, and in me embracing that, I changed my went by the name Siren. Which to this day sticks with me. People still call me that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I became a full-fledged criminal in my thinking, criminal thinking. I became that. That identity crisis we talk about. My thing was I was unhappy with Patrick. Patrick was the young kid that didn't have no money, didn't have no school clothes, didn't have, barely had a place to live because we was moving from house to house, because rent had to be paid, and my mom and dad they come up with it sometimes, and the other times they show.
Yeah.
So once I took on that though, I started selling dope and everything, and I really I ain't gonna lie to you, I really liked that guy because that guy was defending Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah.
But I think a lot of kids, I mean, went through, going through the same thing, or went through the same thing, liked that lifestyle.
Yes. It was an addictive lifestyle.
I mean, like I say, just look at what's going on today. Even though it's a little bit different, I mean, it's worse, but a lot of them, liked that lifestyle. And like I said, it comes from many different reasons why one gravitates.
Yes.
I mean, we can sit here and talk about a few, but it's deeper.
Many
It's,
different.
it's deep. It's real deep. I mean, because a lot of different, like I said earlier, a lot of different things plays a part in why ones, go there. And like I said, we all went there. You know, you know, we had different things going on in our life.
Yes.
Growing up that we couldn't identify. But now we sit here today, we can identify. But look what we had to go through to identify. We had to commit crime. We had to hurt people.
Right.
Then we had to wind up in prison, where we had a lot of time to self-reflect. To self-reflect of what we did and who we was and how did my life turn this way. Because if we didn't do no self-reflecting, we still wouldn't know.
Exactly.
And honestly, I still don't have all the answers.
We never will.
I went to the
But
left.
we open though. We ain't
Yeah.
in denial.
Exactly. And that's the thing, so the thing is this, is that we learn from our mistakes, but it's sad that a lot of things had to happen, for us to learn from our mistakes.
Right.
People had to get hurt, I mean, just all the way across the board, and that's sad. But the thing is this, is that we are better men. We went through our journey, we went through our struggle, we went through the prison system, we came out better men,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key, In somebody else's eyes, we still might be criminals, but guess what? In ours, we're not criminals.
Right.
We reform gentlemen. We reform men.
Absolutely.
That's part of reacclimation though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
We had to die. We had to die and come back alive, right? Meaning that our old selves had to be stripped from us. It had to be taken away. Our old way of thinking, our old way of understanding, what led us to the criminal lifestyle. Because we started off, as you said, we started off kind. We was robbing, we was stealing. If it was burglary, whatever we were doing, to selling marijuana, to smoking marijuana, to finally selling cocaine, to finally selling it to people in the neighborhood, those who we know, those who we don't know, right? And the lifestyle was so addictive, right? And it was so addictive to us, we were still seeking an identity of who we really wanted to be. We wanted to be someone respected. We wanted to be those who had money. We wanted to be those who other people looked up to, either you were older or younger. Respected. You can look up to me because I was bullied back here. I'm no longer going to be bullied, and this is who I am today. And it's sad that lives. A lot of lives had to become offset. Lives had to be lost. Lives had to be taken. May God forgive us for the things that we have done, for the people that we have hurt, to the society that we have hurt, that we destroyed. And one of our main missions today is to continue, today, tomorrow, and in the future, is continue to give service through 100 Years Enterprise.
Yes.
Continue to show who we are. To continue to show that, as Dante just said, we are changed men, we are changed individuals. Some people might hate it, some people might disagree. But that's not for us to determine. I think it's to show who we are, through our actions, through our deeds, through our giving. And so we want the world to know that 100 Years Enterprise is not just about 3 men who did a total of 100 years and came back successful. We want the world to know that you can change. that you can be who you want to be, man, woman, child, parent. And I want to just end my part with that.
Well spoken. I will, I'll conclude with you on that. I just want to say, man, 100 years stand for everything that we spoke about, and our whole base is to be authentic as possible and live as we say and do as we mean. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for that. You know what I mean? As 100 years. What's the saying again? As it all began.
As
it all began.
As it all began.
You know what I mean?
And with this, I want to leave you guys with this. Stay tuned, for our next episode, Youngin versus Young again. Please don't miss out.
And it's coming. Peace out, everybody.